I really want to dive into how you should be using these just in your day-to-day life, but also if you plan on exercising with these on. So the first step that I like to do once you have the shoes on is while you're sitting, I want you to just move your feet around and just feel the difference between the rubber part of the shoe, that's friction, high friction, and then if you take weight off of your foot, the nylon puck part of the shoe, which should feel pretty slippery. So the way to do this is to sit in the middle or so of your chair, up nice and tall. You can hold on to the armrest if that makes you feel safe and stable. And I want you to shift most of your weight over to this leg, and then you're going to try to lift this leg. Barely. You're not actually lifting it off the ground, but just take some weight off of this leg and just move your foot forward, back, or maybe side to side. And you should notice that it slides pretty easily, especially when you come back and forward, because the nylon pucks have low friction. So when there's low friction, you're able to slide nicely. Now I want you to put weight on this leg. So push your foot down into the ground and now try to move your leg. And you'll see for me, it's pretty challenging because it's high friction. The nylon pucks are no longer activated because there is enough body weight through my foot that the rubber is coming into play. So I have high friction. My foot is more likely to stay connected to the ground. And that's the beautiful thing about these shoes is that there's both high friction and low friction. With regular sneakers, it's mostly just high friction with the rubber. So that's why these shoes are able to help you slide when you need to, but stay put when you need your foot to stay stable. So the first step is getting to understand what that feels like. What does it feel like when you're on the slippery part of the shoe versus when your foot is anchored down and you're not able to move your foot as easily? So once you can do that in a seated position, then go ahead and stand up and do the same thing, trying to figure out how it feels with low friction and high friction from a standing position. Of course, you're able to do everything we're about to talk about with a mobility aid, whether that's a cane or trekking poles or a rollator. But if you use a mobility aid, feel free to grab that as you're practicing using these shoes. So same idea as when we were sitting down. So you're going to put most of your weight on one leg. That means that this leg has low friction. And just try sliding your foot forward and back, maybe side to side, some circles, almost like you're dipping your toe in water to see is the water hot or cold. You're just dipping it in. That light amount of weight through your foot is what will allow you to slip and slide around. Then put more weight through this side of your body and try to do the same thing. And you'll notice your foot's probably not going to go anywhere. Or if it does, barely any movement. My foot doesn't go anywhere. And that's the high friction. That's what it feels like when you have a lot of weight through this leg. The shoe will not move. So that's intentional. Once you get the sense of what it feels like with low friction and high friction, now it's time to start taking some small steps, some baby steps forward and just around your room if you want to. So the way to do this, again, with a mobility aid, if you feel like that's safest for you, is you're going to take weight off of this leg and just take a baby step forward as you slide your foot. And then shift your weight over to this side. Slide your foot. So again, very small steps, but you're practicing what it will feel like to slide, to use the nylon pucks to help you with moving forward. You could even take a few steps back. Again, just very small steps. And you're just trying to get a sense of what does this feel like? Do I feel balanced? Do I feel stable? What does this feel like overall? And then once you're used to taking smaller steps and you feel comfortable doing that, then you can work on taking regular step lengths. So instead of just taking these baby steps, you would slide forward however far it feels comfortable to you and slide. So this should feel more like normal walking. You're still going slow. You're still feeling very steady. Again, we're doing this as an exercise. So you're not just going to walk around your room thinking about what to make for dinner today or who you need to call and catch up with. You're thinking about this as a movement, being very intentional with taking weight off the leg, sliding your normal step length forward, and then the same thing on the other side. The next step would be to focus on the timing of moving your legs forward. So now that you're used to what it feels like with low friction and high friction, and we've practiced normal step length, now we want to practice the timing of the slide, because what you might notice is that if I go really slow on one side but pretty quick on the other, it's going to look like I'm limping or it just looks uneven. So to have a nice rhythm of our gait, it's important to practice the same amount of time coming forward on one leg as the other leg. So we're trying to make it look more symmetrical. So this would be an exercise that you can practice. I'll show you over here. I'll put my cane over here so you can see better. So we would just practice sliding, maybe taking 2 seconds or so, maybe 3, to move forward on both sides, like this. Once you got the timing down, then we piece everything together, and you're going to work on making sure your stride length is what you want it to be, the timing is what you want it to be. And if you feel like you're still taking baby steps because you're nervous, over time, once you feel comfortable, you would want to make sure you're taking longer steps, steps that feel a normal length for you. This is going to be different for every person based on how long your legs are, how good your balance is, but making sure that the gait feels normal. The more you feel hesitant and restricted and heavily focused on what you're doing, the more likely you are actually to trip and or feel more unbalanced, which freaks your brain out, and then you're more likely to cause a trip or a fall. So it's really important to make sure that you do all these things that we just talked about as exercises. Get really comfortable wearing the shoes and using them before you even use them when you're going to go out to lunch or go for a walk outside. These shoes can be worn on many, many surfaces, including outside. So with that in mind, what I'm going to suggest to my patients who use them is not only do they practice each of these steps that we did here in this room, but also practicing each of those steps when they're outside. If you're on gravel or if you're even on grass, practicing wearing these shoes in different environments can allow your brain to understand how your body should move when you're wearing them, when you're on other surfaces.